It has been 40 years since the first case of AIDS was reported, and since then, nearly 35 million people have died from HIV-related disease. Now, while there's still no cure, there's been great progress in developing treatments. Today, infected people only have to take 1 tablet a day. But HIV is still the leading cause of death of women of childbearing age, especially in southern Africa, which has the world's highest infection rate. I'll be talking to an activist about her life with HIV after this report from the Kayelitsha township in Cape Town, where one health campaigner is working to make sure people stay on their medication.
Finding his way in between the homes made up of corrugated iron sheets is a challenge, even for 54-year-old Michael Hamca. Michael is a member of the Movement for Change and Social Justice and works with the local community in Kayelitsha, ensuring that they take their HIV treatment.
I want to come and check.
Today, he is checking up on Sandiswa Jozana. A few years ago, people like Sandiswa were hidden from the public by their families because it was a taboo to talk about HIV.
HIV was a big stigma, stigmatized, and it was like a death sentence. I was diagnosed 2002, and I started treatment in September 2004. My family was very supportive because when I was diagnosed, he said to me, one thing, you must go to the clinic and take your treatment.
One major challenge Michael faces in his work is people stopping their medication because they feel better. He constantly has to tell people they should never stop taking their medication or their health will deteriorate.
He encouraged people actually to take them because it's a 1 tablet. And now they have changed again. You take it only in the morning. As our organization, we are there to encourage and make awarenesses. There's nothing difficult to take a tablet and swallow it.
After being diagnosed at the age of 22, Vuyiseka Dubula-Majola thought she was going to die.
It took me 3 months to get out of bed. I was so depressed, waiting for my death from April, May, June, July. I sat and my death never came. And then I realized, okay, this HIV is not going to kill me tomorrow, so I better wake up and do something. So I woke up and I took a tray. I went to Kayelitsha.
In 2003, Vuyiseka and other activists took to the streets to demand life-saving medication. She says their public prominence was important to break the silence.
HIV had no face. Very few people came forward to say, I live with HIV and this is my life. We had very few people who were coming forward. So we were not organized in the sense that our voice was united. So we had to begin by social mobilization to break the stigma down.
Vuyiseka now has a PhD and is a living testament that one should never give up and that it is possible to achieve great things in life. Vuyiseka and Michael say they will never give up their fight to ensure a better life for those living positively with HIV.
And staying on the note of living positively with HIV, my guest today is doing just that. Doreen Moracha was born with HIV. She joins me now from her home in Nairobi, where she is the founder of I Am a Beautiful Story. Welcome to DW News Africa, Doreen. Your campaign is called I Am a Beautiful Story. Tell us about it and how it relates to your own life.
Thank you so much for hosting me. And yes, I am the founder of I Am a Beautiful Story, which is it's more of an awareness and anti-stigma campaign against HIV, because one of the things that I relate to and why I say I am a beautiful story is not only to just share my journey, but also to show people that there is a life after a HIV and AIDS diagnosis, and you don't have to let HIV limit you. Your story has to continue. It has to be beautiful. It has to have all that life comes with it, and you don't really have to limit yourself. So basically, the whole reason I created I Am a Beautiful Story is to champion against self-stigma and also societal stigma, because most of the challenges we have as people living with HIV boil down to the HIV and AIDS stigma that has actually been a limitation to achieving a lot of things in the HIV response.
Doreen, the advancement of medication means that people with HIV can lead healthier, normal lives. Tell us about your experience with antiretroviral drugs.
So I started ARVs 16 years ago, and at some point I stopped taking my ARVs because I thought I had been cured, in quotes. And my experience on using ARVs has, at some point there were regimens that came that were a little bit extreme and they had side effects. And we have come from a time when I started, I will take 6 pills, and now I'm down to taking just 1 pill a day. So it's basically, it's growing, and we are hoping to see even the introduction of the injectable soon.
Okay, so, but Doreen, even with the availability of life-saving drugs, AIDS does remain the leading cause of death of women of a childbearing age, women your age, my age. What do we need to be doing to save lives of women and girls in sub-Saharan Africa?
First of all, availability of proper healthcare services is very lacking because we know that it's almost 40 years of the AIDS pandemic, but still there are people who are yet to get the proper access to the antiretroviral drugs. You know that especially in sub-Saharan Africa, which is still, as much as there is advancement, it's still rural, and we get people who cannot even find the enough amount of money to travel to their clinics every month, especially from the time that COVID came. Now I'm talking about the Kenyan situation. There are people who don't take their medication where they live. So, for example, someone lives in Kisumu, but they take the medication in Kakamega because they fear the stigma. So such kind of things keep taking us back behind, because you find that these people, and you find this is probably a young girl, she's in university, she's taking a medication from Nairobi, and now they have closed school, she has to go home. So she will definitely default. A lot of it goes back to lack of proper access, the issue of stigma and discrimination, and definitely the issue around the healthcare services, because a lot of the healthcare services are not exactly friendly. And sometimes when you disclose that you have just acquired HIV, probably through sexual relations, then it ends up boiling down to you are the person who was promiscuous. So a lot of people don't want that stigma and that judgment, and so they choose not to access medication.
Doreen, how has your life changed since you came out with your status in 2015?
So since I came out in 2015, at first I used to think it's just about sharing my story. And then I realized that it was more than just sharing my story. It was impacting people's lives. It was encouraging other people to disclose their own HIV status and share their journey with the rest of the world. And I'm so happy to see that finally people are coming out, and we are no longer a statistic, but now we are human beings. So putting a human face to the virus, and that alone makes me happy. And besides that, I've gotten to work with organizations that I probably would only have dreamt of working with, but yeah, I've gotten to work with some of them.
Well, you're such a shining star, an inspiration to so many, Doreen, and it's been a pleasure talking to you. That's Doreen Moracha talking to us from Nairobi. Thank you, Doreen.
Thank you so much.